Well, hi there. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Kite Swift Moves Trading Academy. And today's topic I'm going to go over with you is why day trade. Yeah, it's an interesting question, really, when you think about it. Um, but there's several reasons why I decided to day trade versus just investing. One of them is that I like the idea of a fast turnaround as far as making money. So either I'm making it or I'm not. And there's I don't win every day. I wish I did, but it's just the way the nature of the beast. The key is controlling how much you lose versus how much you make, and that's where you use risk management. You use things like a stop on your trade when you place a trade, and anyways. So what's another reason? If you have positions that are open overnight, the market's closed, and yet there are markets that go on around the world, and they trade our stocks and so forth, and these companies make announcements. There's all kinds of things that go on, and the point being is it's out of your control. When that market closes, if you're still in a position, then you're at the mercy of whatever the market does when it opens back up. And if you're okay with that, if you like that feeling and all that, if that's the position you want to be in, I'm not saying you can't be in that position. I mean, if you invest, obviously you are in that position. But as far as what I want to accomplish, day trading is gonna meet that for me. I mean, I'm literally I want to get to the point where I can make a consistent daily income from the market, and I believe that's possible. Okay, now what does that mean? It's not like you punch a time card and who out comes say $500 a day. But the idea of making $500 a day is very doable. Uh, Takes skill, takes practice, takes having enough buying power that you can buy enough contracts to do that and that sort of thing. But so the idea is, all right, maybe one day you're up 700, the next day you're up 400. Well, it averages out, right? If that's what your goal is, if your goal is say $500 a day, and for a lot of people, $500 a day, 20 days out of the month, so to speak, is a nice change of life, really. And but that's just yeah, anyway. I'm not trying to tell you what your goals should be, or what's possible for you and what's not possible for you. I'm just trying to point out the fact that I for me, I treat it like a business. If you own say you own a coffee shop or you own a little grocery store, or let's say lawn cutting business, um, you don't really control how much you make in a day, not in the same sense that you do like with a job. If you have a job and it pays you, say, 15 bucks an hour, and you go, oh, I'm going to go work 8 hours, you're going to make X amount of dollars. But the problem is what if you want to make more? See, that's where you're limited. And that's where, I hate to say it, that's our system is that way for a reason. The system wants to keep you a wage slave. What really truly motivated me to get into day trading was one year I got my annual performance appraisal thing. Basically it's where they jerk you around. But anyways, long story short, I think I got like a maybe a 5% raise, and I don't know why, but that number just got under my skin. It just did. It just bothered me, and I thought I'm not going to let some manager or some entity dictate my lifestyle. I'm not going to let them control where I go out to eat or what kind of car I drive or where I live, quite frankly. And the beauty of day trading is that you can take it anywhere with you. Yeah, you could be offshore, you could be day trading. Might take a little more effort, but you can still do it. With the internet, the world's your oyster, as they say. Um, but you can't say that about all jobs. Like I work in aerospace as my job, and I can't just walk across the street and find another job. Which is part of the also what drove me was the fact that I got tired of aerospace telling me geographically where I could live. And so I don't know what your why is, but you need to figure out what your why is because that's what's going to motivate you when you need motivating. That's what's going to make you maybe stay up late at night studying stuff or watching YouTube videos or doing whatever you got to do to fine tune your trade craft and learn how to make money. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm at a point now. I make money. Uh, but what I'm working on right now is the consistency factor, and that's the part that kind of drives my brain a little crazy. Um, but one of the things I'm doing now, compared to just a few weeks ago, is instead of looking for those big wins, um, I'm looking to make a series throughout the day of small wins because when those add up, they will equal a big win. And that's easier to accomplish than a big win. It's like the saying goes that, you know, if you make 20% on 5 trades versus 100% on one trade, which is better? If you can make it in one trade, great, but that's probably not realistic, or anyways, takes a lot more skill than what you're going to gain in a very short period of time. But to if you put $100 in something and you want to make 20%, that's $120. You could almost you know you can almost just by accident stumble into an option and you can make that. Now you can also lose it too. Don't get me wrong, but all I'm saying is to make 20% is not that hard. Now, when you start getting big numbers, when you have a lot of money to invest, then yeah, maybe 20% is a big number. But anyway, the point being is it's far easier to make a bunch of small wins and let those accumulate because that's where you will find long term success through a lot of small wins. Because if you're always shooting for that, you want that home run. The best baseball teams know how to work the base hits, the base hits, the base hits, because those will win the game. Yeah, those home runs they look sexy and they feel good and all that kind of stuff. But honestly, the real true meat and potatoes of a baseball game, the same thing with trading, are the small wins adding up. So there you go. That's why I day trade. I feel I can make more money faster. I can control it and I don't have to worry about an investment sitting out there exposed. Like some people, especially like your 401ks, man, they're seriously exposed. We just live in a grand illusion where we think they're not. So that's bottom line. That's the truth. Um, I'm not a big fan of mutual funds. There's only a couple that I would recommend or even think about. But the point being is that the stock market's a beautiful thing and there's money to be made in it, and you don't even have to have a you don't have to have a complicated strategy. You just got to find one that works for you that your brain can work with, and I don't mean that derogatorily. It's just there's so many different strategies out there, but something might appeal to you and a lot might not appeal to you. So forget about the ones that don't appeal to you, and focus on the ones that do. I would take one at a time and get to where you're successful with each one, and then maybe focus on the next one. And pretty soon, you got a bag of tricks that you pull out, and with whatever kind of market you're dealing with, and there you go. So, anyways, I hope you found this helpful, and talk with you soon. Take care.